That's the G6 Dome from Unifi, a brilliant vandal resistant camera, and now there's a Pro version. So this is the G6 Pro Dome, and yes, it is the Pro version of the G6 Dome, and the naming strategy is starting to make sense to me because there was a G6 Bullet and then we got the G6 Pro Bullet, and I thought, why not just call the Pro? But this is why. We're now also getting a G6 Pro turret, and there's a G6 turret. So that's starting to sort of make sense to me. Anyway, this is a Pro version of this excellent G6 Dome camera, and this has, well, more infrared range, and it has zoom, and it has it's bigger, and it has a larger field of view, and it has a gigabit port, and many other differences from the G6 Dome. But I think before we get to all that and try and figure out if you should get the Pro or the Dome, let's get it out the box and have a look at it, the physical thing, and then we'll compare them on the specs. So here's the box, the G6 Pro Dome in white. And you know what a new box means. Exactly. You ready? Whee! And of course, as with the G6 Dome, it is presented very nicely with a plastic bubble thing, cover protection. And then here is the G6 Pro Dome. I'm going to leave this plastic on until I've installed it, because any fingerprint on this plastic dome from experience means that you get smudges at night in the IR. So this is aluminium. It's quite heavy. I think it's heavier than the G6 Dome. It has, of course, that delicious sensor of 1 over 1.2 that we got in the Pro Bullet, so we'll test that out as well. That is why you would want the Pro, I think, but let's get to the conclusion at the end. These are screws that you need to remove to take the whole thing off to get to the mounting and the camera. And then we have on the back a security screw, I think, that probably needs to be pushed in and put in place. And here is where the cable comes in, and you'll see inside it has a more of a sort of elaborate way that you put it in. And of course you can have it coming in this way or that way as well. So there's many versatile mounting options for sure. All right, so that's the camera itself. Yeah, that's quite large there. Anyway, well, I'll hold it up and we can compare the size in just a second. Then we have a mounting template there. Here is a little box of, I'm guessing, more mounting things. Okay, yeah, so I think we're going to be using that one. We're going to put that up. I'll show you where we're going to put this camera as well. So there's one mounting option. There's another one. If you are putting it through a ceiling, you can have this on the other side of it. Very good. And then we have, of course, the grommets, because we have 3 different sizes now of grommets that we need to put in. So this looks very similar to the G6 Dome, almost identical, I'd say. And we have a tightening nut here. We need to make sure we don't get nasties into it. So that's, well, that's maybe a little bit different. I'm not sure. And we have some desiccant, because that should help with condensation inside of the plastic dome, I think. And then we have a tool for tightening that nut there. We have a screwdriver for taking off these to get the camera apart. And then we have a bunch of screws here for mounting it. Very good. Okay, and some literature, and I think that's it. Yep, that is all there is in it. G6 Pro Dome is out of the box. There's the G6 Dome. Let's see just the physical comparison, right? And you can see here that it's quite a lot bigger. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but yeah, that move comes down a lot more. And actually, it sits out about that much more as well, like about an inch, or what, 20 to 30 mil. So yeah, it is definitely bigger than the G6 Dome, which is what you expect. It has a zoom lens in there, needs more room. But yeah, physical size comparison, bit bigger. Good thing I don't have to put it up here. All right, let me show you where I am going to put it up. I am here at the front door of the house, which is just there out of shot. And this is my G5 Flex camera. I actually have a few of those, and there's nothing wrong with this camera, but the installation is a bit meh. There's an indoor cable it's showing. I'm not quite happy with it, and I would like to upgrade the camera as well, especially because the G6 Pro Dome has the new 1/1.2 inch sensor, which I went through some detail in the G6 Pro Bullet video. So go check that out for much more on that sensor. I will also check it out later in the video, but that is not the aim necessarily, especially, but more overall of the G6 Pro Dome camera. So I'm gonna put it up here instead, because if I put it up here, you can see I can get rid of that ugly cable hanging down there, so you don't have to see it, which is much better, I think. And we should get a much better camera as well. So I'm still going to use the G5 Flex. That'll be repurposed. I still have a couple of those actually running as llama cams. So yeah, they're still just fine. But for now, let's replace it with the G6 Pro Dome. Let's start with getting the G5 Flex off. And then I'll place the template just over that cable so we know that it's going to come in the right place. I'm hoping that'll fit because it's right up against the back. Maybe we just move it a bit. Yeah, that's better. All right, I'm going to tape it on so we don't lose the placement. And then we can drill a few holes. There we go. All right, brackets on. So let's take the camera, take it apart and route this Cat 6 inside of it. So you got to loosen these 3 screws to get this top bit off, and then we can get to where the cable goes. So let's just do that. And then we can take the top off like this, and you see there's a nice little strap on there. So, and don't forget you have to put in the desiccant, very important. And now we can get the cable in through there and route it into that RJ45 plug there. So yeah, it's not too bad, but it's a little bit different. And then we're going to route the cable in through here, where we're going to screw that nut on there with a grommet. Yeah? So let's route this in through here, like that first. There we go. Then we're going to put on a grommet, rubber grommet, so that we make sure that we don't get any nasties in. And I'm just doing this loosely now because I've got to plug it in. That's got to go with that before we plug it in. Okay, ready? And we should get a click. Well, sort of a click, half a click. We have a white light, so it's starting up. Oh, I can hear it, it's whirring. All right, I'm just going to put the grommet on here. So it's a bit tricky. I think if you did 100 of these, it'll get a lot easier. And then we need the nut that goes over it to lock it in place. And then you turn that. And if you can't turn it enough with your hands, is when this little tool came in. There we go. There we go. All right. And yes, I mean, you are going to comment on this, I know. That plug is not amazing. I am going to change it, but I've run out of the connectors, of terminators. Run out of terminators. Ooh. Anyway, of the actual termination plug, the RJ45 plug, I've run out of those. As soon as I get more, I will replace this. Promise. So that's now in. That's shining white. That means ready for adoption in Unifi language, which means we can attach this. Oh, it's got to go this way, isn't it? Yep. Like that. And so that's on. So it means we can now probably position the camera before we put the dome on. That's probably a good idea. So we're gonna turn it, oh, that's not in the way at all. That way, because we want to point it that way a bit. And maybe a bit over there, depending on how wide it is. I'm not gonna get this right the first time, but it'll be good enough for us to test it and show it, you know, and see it. So all that's left is just to put the dome on, which is always an IQ test, like that. So we just screw these back in. like that, and then all that's left is to adopt it, which I'll do, and then we'll have a look at what the specs are for the G6 Dome versus the G6 Pro Dome, and then we'll look at all the features. If you're enjoying this video, why not consider subscribing? Yes, I'm still going for 50,000 subscribers this year. It's getting more and more ambitious, but I'm not giving up. And I hope you'll help me out by clicking that red subscribe button down below, because that means I get to do a lot more videos just like this one. And maybe, just maybe, you want to support the channel a little bit more. And there's many ways that you can do that. You can check out the merch, so you can get your own, for example, mug, like Spit Happens mug. It's delicious. And there's t-shirts and there's all sorts of other things. Or you could become a member of the channel, because I create all sorts of extra content behind the scenes, extra updates, etc. for my members on the channel. Or there's super thanks, or you can just leave a comment down below. I love reading your comments, as was proven by my video on the UNVR Instant that I gave away, because there was like 1,100 comments. A lot. Yeah, but enough of that. Let's get back to the G6 Pro Dome, which I have here. And this is the store spec sheet for it. So it is, if you watch my G6 Dome video, it's similar yet not. So let's go through the differences and why this might be a better option for you or not. So it is $499 US. That's the only price I have. I know you especially ask about Australian prices. I just don't know, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would tell you. But it's $499. And it is an all-weather vandal-proof 4K PoE Plus camera. So vandal-proof, we'll get to that, what that means in just a second. It's 4K, which most of the new cameras are from Unifi by far, and it's PoE Plus. So remember that you're going to have that extra bit of power for this camera on your port. Multi-top, so that's terabit operations per second. I can never remember exactly what it stands for, but it has to do with how many computations or calculations this AI engine can do. It's the same as they use in all their other cameras, so it's very similar. It does have an optical zoom, which is the same as the G6 Pro Bullet, and it has that same sensor, very large sensor. I'll show you that in just a second as well when we look at the night vision, and long range IR as well. And you can get it in white or black. I got the white one. Now, let me compare it with the G6 Dome, which obviously is here. So the G6 Dome is still not a cheap camera. It's $279. I think the G6 Bullet was $199. That's still probably my go-to sort of cost-effective, low budget, whatever you want to call it, camera. But for now, we're looking at these two. So the G6 Pro Dome is $499. It is bigger, as I showed you as well on the physical size. Whoops. It is 163 millimeters in diameter, where the non-Pro is 144. So it is slightly bigger, and it sticks out more as well because it's 108 millimeters instead of 96, right? So, and this makes sense because there's more stuff in there. We have 40 meters night vision, where the old one has 30. 30 is certainly not bad, but I'll take the extra 40, or the extra 10 to 40. 2.36 times optical zoom, and obviously we don't get optical zoom on the Dome, only on the Pro. But it does have the same facial recognition, the same AI engine, same AI smart features as well. The field of view is bigger, like 133.8 instead of 109 in horizontal, and the vertical is 61 instead of 57. So you get a slightly larger field of view if you use the wide angle. Of course, if you zoom in, it's different because you've zoomed in. It has audio. I've done an audio test. I'll show you that in a second as well. And the weatherproofing and the tamper resistance are the same with IP66 and IK10. Now, IK is the rating for how much force something can withstand from a certain height. Right, that's sort of the general way of explaining it. And IK10 is the highest rating that you can go up to, so that's great. So fully weatherproof, fully tamper resistance, which is very good. I mean, this is the camera you would choose, either the Dome or the Pro Dome, if you had like an exposed sort of area where it might be, tampered with, in what way that might be. You can mount it in many places, ceiling, wall, blah, 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 all that. Now, it does have a gigabit port, and I'm not sure that's necessary. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I'm not 100%, but for me, 4K footage is just fine on a 10 or 100 megabit. You don't need gigabit, but correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure why they put that in here. Maybe just to make it more pro. Yeah. 30 frames per second, same sensor as the G6 Pro bullet. So this is this 1.0 or 1.2. If you want to know what that means exactly, check out that video on the G6 Pro bullet, because I went through quite some detail explaining what that means with the sensor. But it is a much larger sensor than the Dome, which means you get better light in, you get a better quality of the footage because more light hits the sensor, all that sort of stuff. It is just great. Or more light. You have a larger sensor which collects more light. That's what I meant. Fixed focal length, of course, on the Dome, and the Pro Dome has the telephoto lens. That's why you have a millimeter range here and an f-stop. And it uses more power, 15 watts compared to 9. I don't think that's a huge difference whether to go one or the other. And it uses PoE Plus instead of PoE. So that's sort of the main thing with that. The chip is the same. The enclosure seems to be the same. It does say it has polycarbonate. I thought this one did too, the G6 Dome. I didn't see a lot of difference other than size in the construction. They're both quite good. The mount is stainless steel. Yep, that definitely is. And we have a micro SD card slot for recording locally on the camera, but I'll show you that in just a second as well. So that is the comparison of the Pro versus the non-Pro for the G6 Dome cameras. Let me know in the comments if you would buy the Pro or the other one, whichever way you want to go. I can see a use case, especially with the larger sensor. It is a huge difference. That sensor makes such a big difference, especially at night. And also you get zoom if you need zoom on your G6 Dome. So let's have a look at the camera itself. So I'm going to go back over here to devices. And here are all of my various cameras, and the G6 Pro Dome is right here in the middle. So let's have a look what we get. This will look very familiar if you've ever seen a Unifi camera. It's pretty much the same. So we have, of course, status, connection, etc., etc. Bitrate, uptime. So it was a couple of days since I installed it, so I've been playing a bit with it. And we have now notifications. By the way, you have to go to the Alarm Manager to get notifications. So Alarm Manager I went through in some detail in this video link there, because I can't remember exactly which one that was, but I'll find out. And you have like an idea of when something was triggered. So there's a vehicle 26 minutes ago, someone was speaking 16 minutes ago, etc. That's quite a nice overview. I quite enjoy that, just to see, oh, has something happened recently? And then down here we have the internal storage. That is the micro SD card. So I've put a 256 gig SD card in it, and it has now used 1.13 gig. And I am only recording events. So whenever there is a smart detection, it will record that event on the camera. I can then download it from here, from the interface, or of course, if something breaks or whatever, I can go and retrieve the SD card and get the footage there as well. So that's like a backup. It would be nice, I've said this before, if there is a future feature which allows, if say the NVR goes offline, to then backfill with that footage on locally on the camera. That would be nice. I don't think that's there yet. We have some recording settings, which are when to record, recording mode, create AI events, etc. These are the same as every other, especially G6 and G5 and AI camera. We can have animal, face, license plate, person, vehicle for the smart detections. We have some audio detections, and we can create motion events. I sometimes put that on, like if there's an area where I would like to know if there is motion, because that might be trees as well and stuff like that, you can add that as well. The tamper detection is a new feature. It says here, it detects if the camera is physically moved or obstructed, locked as a timeline event, and can trigger alarms or automations. So it's if it gets moved, or there's, someone puts their hand in front of it or whatever that might be, it comes up as a tamper detection, and you might want to check that out. So if you want to have the camera in a location where that is likely, I would definitely turn that on. I haven't tested it to any extent yet, because we don't get a lot of tampering here. No one comes this far away. Then we have frames per second, video compression, encoding, and recording resolution. You can choose to change that if you so see fit. And then I always put time and camera name on the camera, on the footage rather. And we have recording retention, which is, I put it auto. I mean, it lasts, I have enough storage for a couple of weeks or something, so that's good. We have the usual zones and lines, so we can set motion zones here. So I could edit this and we could change this motion zone if I wanted to not have all of it, but for now that's fine. So I'm just going to leave it as a default. And crossing lines, of course, is that you can add a line if someone goes from one side of the line to another, such as like there. If someone is walking past here from A to B or B to A, you can get an event triggered for that too. Those are really good. I use them quite a few places, but for now, I'm not going to have one here. But just, yeah, don't discard the crossing lines. They're really good. Privacy blackouts is actually blocking out part of the footage that you'll never record, like your neighbor's bathroom. And then we have some settings. We'll close that one. And here we have the name of it. I'm just going to call it G6 Pro Dome for now. That's fine. It's probably going to be G6 front door or something, but for now, I'll just leave it at that. And we have the microphone. Some jurisdictions, you are not allowed to record audio at all. Some jurisdictions, you are not allowed to listen in on audio either. And you can then accordingly disable it or disable it permanently or when recording, right? So you can only hear it live or only when you're recording or not at all. HDR, I'll come back to that. I have it off for the minute. We'll see. And then we have night vision, which I'll play with as well. And we have some advanced settings, which are all the shadow exposure and the picture performance preferences rather, and things like that. I usually leave them by default. I hardly ever change these because I don't have to. It's fine as it is. Orientation, hallway mode, which is handy. You can have it vertical mode if you have a long, narrow hallway. And we can add some tags, which is a way of grouping cameras. That is it for the features, which is, there's a lot, but it is the same as the G6 Pro Bullet and the G6 Bullet. And yeah, it looks all the same, which is what you want. It's lovely. All right. So let's have a look at the actual image quality, which of course is important for a camera. This is a bit earlier today, so about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's quite sunny. It was a hot day today. There was a lot of sunshine, and this looks pretty good. This is very clear. It definitely has a wider angle than my G5 Flex did, that's for sure. So I'm very happy about that. But it's also a 4K image, and it just seems a bit crisper, definitely compared to the G5 Flex, but also to the G5 range in general. The G6 are just more crisp, probably because of that bigger sensor. So this is with HDR on, sorry, without HDR rather, this particular image here. And I wanted to just show you because HDR for me has been quite hit and miss. Sometimes it works really well on some cameras and sometimes it really doesn't. And in this case, this is the HDR. I'm gonna, you can see the green bar here is where I changed it to HDR. Are you ready? I'm gonna do it here. And that is with HDR. Now, I think that is more usable. But whatever you think, let me know in the comments because this is very much a subjective thing. I like that these are less defined, like the shade and the light is probably more accurate to what it was really like when you look at it. If I go back, see without HDR, see how dark this is and how light that is. There's a huge difference. Whereas with this, it's less pronounced. Now the lawn does look a little bit weird. It's got this sort of white dots. I don't know how else to explain it. But I still think it works better for this camera with HDR. All right, so let me just go back to live footage right now, which is at night because I'm recording this at, what time is it now? 9:33 p.m. So I just want to show you some of the live features here before we look at the night vision in general, because I have some better examples than what you're seeing right now. We have the usual functions here. You can add shortcuts, which is sort of like, I still compare it to like old school computer games, adventure games, where you had to click on a certain part of the screen to go somewhere. That's what you can do. You can add cameras here. I'm not going to do that right now. We can detect things. So I've got all of the detections on. And do remember that that may delay the detection a bit if you have everything on, just because of the processing. Just a disclaimer there. I can adjust the focus to where it's focusing on the screen. Take a snapshot, add it to a case, or look at the settings, which are the same settings that we just saw before. Now, I just want to touch on the zoom because this does have an optical zoom. And remember, an optical zoom is for basically sort of set and forget. It's to get just the right frame. It's not for doing it on the fly. That's not the intention. You can, but you got to sit here and do it all the time. And it's down here. Now, it's not the plus and minus here. That is digital zoom. Right? So if I click on the plus, you can see it zooms in, but it's just zooming in digitally. It's just cropping the image. The optical zoom is this little plus here, and we can then turn this up way up to 2.36. Come on, there we go. And it zooms in, right? So this is the optical zoom. There we go. Okay, I don't know why the little dot is not moving. That's a bit weird, but anyway, it did that when I was using it earlier. Okay, weird. And the optical zoom is, as I said, it's just to get the right frame. So that's where you do that if you need to use the optical, which is one of the reasons you would buy the G6 Pro Dome, right? Remember when I showed you all the specs? It has this optical zoom. Okay, now I'm going to show you some examples of the night vision footage. I'm not going to go to the same extent as I did for the G6 Pro Bullet. Go check that out if you really want to see what this sensor does, but I have got a few examples. Okay, so this is from yesterday, and this is, 12:28 a.m., and this is with no infrared, right? So this is just a sensor and a tiny bit of moonlight that is on here, and you can see how much you can see. It's incredible. As soon as there's a tiny bit of light, such as moonshine, not the drinking kind, the lighting kind, you actually get everything, like incredible detail. This is what this sensor does. This is 101.2 inch. It's really, really very good. All right, let me show you with IR rather. So this is adding, turning IR on the camera itself, which is here. And you can see here that it has, there we go. That the cardboard light was on, that's not fair. This is with just the IR on the camera itself. Now it has 40-meter range on the specs. That is for perfect conditions. By conditions, I mean not having these posts in front of it, because the camera is so clever, all the Unifi cameras are as far as I know, that it will adjust the infrared range to make sure that everything looks good. So this will obviously blow out if it was just full infrared light, right? So it's not reaching 40 meters over here. I'm guessing this is about 25 meters to this piece of lawn here, but that's what I expect because there is a lot of stuff in the foreground, right? So just bear that in mind if you're setting it up with the infrared light of 40 meters is if there's nothing in front of it, there's nothing else being lit up in front of it, closer to, because then it likely will reduce the infrared strength. That's the way I understand it, but still good. I can see everything that's in the vicinity of this camera, so it still works for my intents and purposes. And just so you have sort of the full picture, if you have other cameras that has infrared light, that will also have an influence on this one camera, obviously. So now you can see we have light from other cameras that are shining out. So actually this part here, you can now see that lawn bit there much, much clearer. That is from the G6 Pro Bullet, which is sitting just here. You can see the lawn over here is from the AI Turret and the AI PTZ, which is putting infrared light out here. And there's a bit here actually that comes from the G6 Bullet, which is sitting on this side, to the left here. So having additional infrared light from other cameras or an infrared floodlight actually makes a big difference. I think that's probably one of the best ways you can enhance night vision for these cameras is to have other infrared sources. And it also means that spiders won't come onto this camera if you're not using the infrared on this camera. Anyway, that's an aside. So let's just have a look at actually detection at night here. Look at this little guy here. So this is at middle of the night, 2:30, something like that. Come on, 2:39 a.m. That little fellow there is a possum, not an opossum as in the US. This is a Australian possum, which is a very cute little thing with, still big claws, but we have tons of them. They're very common, and we see them on the cameras all the time at night. Yeah, so it does pick up, and it actually picked up it as an animal up over here. You can see the detection has picked it up as an animal, so that's pretty good. The AI detection works a treat even at night. I also did an audio test because one of you, at least, or maybe 2 or 3, said in the comments, hey, no one ever does audio tests for these cameras. So I did. So here is the audio for me standing outside, at the camera. Hello, YouTube. Here's an audio test. I'm about 2 meters from the camera, I think. And the audio should be pretty good if it's the same microphone as on the G6 Pro Bullet. But I'll let you decide what you think. I think that's pretty good. It is the same, as far as I know, I can remember, as the G6 Pro Bullet. I was a bit further away because that's mounted higher up, yada yada, but it's pretty clear. Now, there wasn't a lot of background noise. There were some birds, etc. So if you're in the city, maybe it's different. I don't know because I'm not in the city, but I think that was pretty good. Let me just show you a couple of the detections. I'm not going to go through again AI smart detections in this video in any detail because again, as lots of other videos that do that, but let me just show you a couple. Here is me coming in the car. So you can see down here, it already recognizes that it's an SUV quite quickly. And again, that is, the cameras have this ability to sort of backdate the discovery, so to speak, so that it knows the whole way that it is a car in this case, and it was quite good. It's quite accurate. I also get a ton of birds at this time of year. Here's a magpie, and if you're in Australia, you know what that means. Beware. And of course, it picks this up as a an animal as well, because I have the detections on here. Here we go. Come on, show animal. No, but anyway, it has picked it up here as an animal. You can see there's the animal icon, the little paw print, and there's a lot of those birds, 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 and of course people as well. Here is me. Here's me. And I am going to, what am I doing here? I think I'm probably just, oh, I'm walking across here. Oh, I think I am playing with the Neomo robot. That's right, the Hooky Neomo Pro X, which I did a video on not long ago. So check that out as well. That's actually a pretty cool robot, but it picks up that there is a person. And as I get closer to the camera, it should pick up that it's my face. Give it a second here. I'm just mapping that bit of lawn here now. There you go. That green square means that it has mapped my face as well. So that's very good. That works as well. So it works with all the AI detections, just like any of the other G6 cameras and AI cameras for that matter. And yeah, there's not much more to say about that other than check out the video on the G6 Pro Bullet again. So that is the G6 Pro Dome. Would I get it over the G6 Dome? Well, it depends on what you need it for, right? And this is part of the whole video. Both are excellent cameras. I'm still using the G6 Dome where I put it up in that previous video, and it still performs well. Obviously, it's a new camera as well. So if you need zoom, yes, G6 Pro Dome, definitely. If you need that bigger sensor, which I can't recommend enough, but is it worth the $200-ish extra? Up to you, but that does make a huge difference, especially at night. It's a, yeah, just massive difference. And maybe you need the longer IR range for where you are. So those are all things that you need to sort of consider, and the micro SD card as well for that matter, before you make a choice whether you want to go for the G6 Dome or the G6 Pro Dome. Both excellent cameras, but obviously the Pro has more features and does a few more things, which you would expect for the Pro range of a camera. So let me know what you think down in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion, as always. I do enjoy getting the comments from all of you. And consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy the content, because I really, really love this community that has been built around the channel, and I would love for you to be part of it. And if you really want to be part of something more and support the channel, why not try, become a member or support the channel with checking out the merch, like Spit Happens mugs. I like the mug. Do you tell? Or leave a comment. Give it a thumbs up. Whatever you can do, I would really appreciate it. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.